People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope you're all doing well and safe. Now, last night we lost against Aston Villa 1-0. It is what it is, you know. It's almost like beating City and Liverpool is irrelevant now in typical Arsenal fashion. Many of us fans thought, you know, we didn't think we'd win them 2 games, but off the back of winning them 2 games, it would be the very Arsenal thing to drop points against Villa, whether it means something or not. Obviously, we're not playing for nothing, you know. Small hope of Europa League, firmly hoping on the FA Cup. We can't get top 4. We've got nothing to play for. Villa have everything. They're fighting for their Premier League future. So there was a bit of arrogance. At the same time, I do think at the same time, there's always something to play for. Even if you can't move up the table, you know, there's 3 points on the line. That's enough to play for. That's enough. Because if I'm an Arsenal player, you know, considering I've been part of a team that under the new manager, who I said I ride for and all these things, we've dropped 15 points from winning positions. Overall, 21 points from winning positions. 46% of our goals conceded have come from set pieces. You know, that it's well catalogued the amount of draws we have. You know, it's well catalogued the amount of shots faced on our attack and stuff. All of these negative sort of things. It's just one cocktail to learn from. And the table isn't going to lie, you know. We had a decent start to the season. We've had an okay end by Arsenal standards this year in that, you know, there's been the FA Cup, there's been a couple of wins and things, but the same themes have been there throughout. And when the season's done, the stats aren't going to lie. All that's going to matter is the number of wins, the number of losses, how many points you got, where the season went wrong, and things like that. And the post-mortem has to be a real sobering reality. I do think players here and players in general have been scared to see the truth, and they've really got to see it. Now, this is the 4th year, obviously, finishing behind Spurs. Not that that matters in the grand scheme of things, beyond bragging rights. Off that, though, Arteta's spoken in relation to the match, people, and you know, Arteta, I feel, you know, I do think he can change and turn it around. I don't think he can if we're not all on the same page. You look at our midfield, you know, he's got a midfield functioning now. Ceballos has had a bit of a revival, you know, definitely in his best period as an Arsenal loanee. Xhaka has always been a misunderstood player, never been as bad as people make out, but he has had his deficiencies and struggled for consistency. Those things apparently seem to be put to bed. But you look at that midfield, you know, with all due respect, Ceballos can break the lines, but he's not creating to the standard I think we need. I would still take him, but I don't think we need. Xhaka, his strengths are not goals and assists, and is not necessarily breaking the lines, so we're already at a deficiency. And Xhaka came off the bench and you saw the difference, but it doesn't really matter what midfield combination we put out. In teams, we struggle to break down teams that are going to sit back and stuff for large periods and stuff like that. I'm looking at it, and it's actually looking like David Luiz is going to be the one to play a pass to create something. And David Luiz, one thing about him, for all his deficiencies, he's good on the ball, so that's not really a bad thing, but it highlights the issues in this club. And you know, that brings me back to the point, I have all the faith in Arteta, but if everybody's not singing from the same hymn sheet, if we're not learning from hindsight and applying better foresight, if we're not bringing in better players, it can't happen. It can't happen, you know. We can't. The immediate task is to be a top 4 challenging club, like what you're seeing with Liverpool. And yeah, you could say Chelsea and United, things are falling into place, but at the end of the day, they've won games and put themselves in that position. We want to be going into the last game of the season, last 2 games like tonight, I believe West Ham and United played, that if we win this, we might sneak top 4. That's the immediate goal, but we're not going to do that unless everyone sings from the same hymn sheet, you know. And I think Arteta is truthful with a lot of things he said. He said today is a down, but sometimes it's good to see the reality and then go again and move on to improve. And I don't think many Arsenal fans were deluded, pardon me, in the sense of moving away from reality. You know, Liverpool and City, it's lovely to win, but there were micro reasons as to why we lost those games without discrediting our performance. But you know, the health of the squad isn't good enough. We're still a team filled with bad habits, and grand scheme of things, it means nothing. And the many cynical Arsenal fans would actually say, you know, there hasn't been no pressure. There wasn't no pressure because, you know, again, the FA Cup final is the FA Cup final. I'm not disrespecting it, but there's not really any pressure. He's expected to lose in both of them top 6 clashes or top team clashes. We're not really playing for anything this season. Maybe that helped us, sort of thing. And it is true. It's a sobering reality. If any Arsenal fans thought, you know, the perception was changing or that we're better than what we are, which we're not. We are a really poor side, sad to say. It's just, you've got to call reality. You know, there's some decent individuals, but, you know, you need 11 starting players and you need a squad of 20, 23 minimum, 24, everyone that can play their part, and I don't think we have that. We struggle, and you know, again, it's the same similar themes. And like he said, man, you know, it is good to see where we can go and improve. And he said, depth, that is one thing, and the other thing is the specifics. I can't say that specificity. Bro, I'm making a fool of myself. You know that word. I can't say it. But the other thing is basically the specialist that he needs within the squad to balance it consistently. And he obviously shot himself in the foot. Many people will say, oh, if Ozil started, he would have done this. Ozil probably still would have played poor. But just without agendas, without, you know, what Mesut Ozil is and the need to freeze him out, and he never turns up away from home allegedly, even though there's no fans in that. You know, just having someone who can break lines in games like that, even on the bench for the last 20 minutes, I can't really comprehend it. And I do think that one there is out of Arteta's hands, similar potentially to Emre. It seems the club are kind of forcing their hands with Ozil and the need to freeze him out and things like that. And if we're not going to have Ozil and play him, then there's got to be somebody else that can break the lines, and I don't really see anyone that can do that in the side, people. So we do need better balance. For me, we need a defensive midfielder / box to box, someone that can put a foot in. We need someone that can break the lines. You lot know we need a centre half or two minimum. And this is the thing, man, with all due respect to Luiz and these man there, because Luiz, he put out the corner, but I don't think it was his fault. We need better defenders. It starts from the back, really and truly. So we do need better depth. And I do think, you know, Arteta's kind of shortchanged himself. He doesn't have much options in midfield. We know what is the Guendouzi saga, so he's not involved. Ozil saga, so he's got 2 less personnel. So we can't really complain about lack of balance if things are out of your hands. He also said we played in the opponent's half, but we missed that spark and the final ball in the final third to create more. Yeah. Like, at the end of the day, like, chance creation. Possession means nothing if you're going to do nothing with it. Do you get it? It looked great against City, you know, where we had less possession and won the game. Arguably, by the same token, if you have the bulk of possession, you've got to do something with it. You've got to kill the opposition, you know. Because, again, it's another game where Villa thought, okay, cool, we've won the first 25 minutes in the sense that Arsenal have had the bulk of possession. They ain't troubled us. Quite simply that. They ain't troubled us. You know, Reina hasn't had anything to do. Defenders aren't shouting at anyone. There's no uncertainty. That always gives you something to build from. And he also said, in relation to the disappointment of the result, I won't read it all out, but he congratulated Villa for their performance and their ability to win under pressure, fighting relegation. He said, we tried everything. He said, for us, it's been a very emotional and physically demanding week. We tried everything. I think you cannot fault the efforts of the players, but after the goal, we needed to find ways to attack better in the final third, and we lacked that creativity and that final cross and spark. And I think, you know, you look at the fullbacks, Arteta, man. I mean, Kolasinac, before the change with Tierney, you know, he's struggling to put balls in the box. I feel Cedric was woeful with his attempts of crosses. And I do understand that, it has been an emotional week. It has been a draining week. You know, we needed to make rotations. But at the same time, Arteta, and I don't think we was mad poor, like 2 and 3s out of 10s in the game. I think it's a cop-out because we know the dynamics. These players have been around the block. They know if they want to be a top 4 club in different contexts, next season the games are going to come in thick and fast. You're going to have this. You might play a North London derby and then play Liverpool and then have to go away from home next season. That's why everyone in the squad needs to stand up to be counted. That's why we need better consistency levels. And I think this is why we're in this position. I'm not getting at Arteta. I just think it's a slight cop-out because it is what it is. Regardless, we should have won the game. Or if Villa were going to win, make it harder for them because, you know, like I said, when you've got Aubameyang chasing top goal scorer, even though he's not going to get, he's up there. When you've got a resurgent or fairly resurgent Lacazette and Eddie who's developing, you know, he must have thought I'm going to face a barrage of shots. What did he have? The one shot that beat him was a header and it hit the post. And when you get them sort of lucks there, that means you're staying in the division, in my opinion. And the players have been around the block. How many times have we struggled in that regards? And he was then asked on how we can get past attacking low blocks. He said, training, time and understanding the spaces where they are, how we can provoke them, where we need the bodies and the areas we have to attack. And then a little bit in the first half, I felt that we didn't have the urgency with the ball. And that's what I'm saying. I don't think we was urgent. There's not really any, you never get you never get any point of intention with Arsenal. The only time I've seen intention in recent weeks was their 17-18 man pass against City. You know, you've got to play with a swagger, you've got to play with intention. Too many times when we're knocking the ball around, it don't look like it's like when we had Wenger, it don't look like this, not that I'm, you know, beating Arteta with a stick. I don't think there's any sort of muscle memory attacking moves. You know the ones there, like when you look at City, you know, they've done that 1,000 times subconsciously. It looks like we're freestyling and we're trying the thing, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. It don't look like there's any coordinated moves and things like that consistently. So he's right with that. We did lack a bit of urgency as well. I think because we thought the first 25 minutes we're calling this, you know, they're not really attacking us, but there was an urgency where we've got to smell blood, go for the kill sort of thing. He also said in the second half it was much better. We controlled the transitions much better as well, but it wasn't enough. He also said we played other games as well, and the answer is not just the player, it is a collective of patterns that have to happen, and we did really well in certain ways, but the end product of the final ball wasn't good enough, and the last chance that we had hit the post. But this is football. He then said, he was speaking about Ozwin, that he did say, away from that, the big challenge is to keep on the process, keep the players believing in what we're doing, improve them as much as we can, and then make some really good decisions in certain areas, and that's it. And then he said, finishing outside the top 6, he said it has to hurt and we have to suffer because it's not good enough for this club. That's why we have to put it right. We have a challenge that is really big. We are facing it and we are really excited about what we have ahead of us. We need to transmit this enthusiasm and passion because they're going to be some ups and downs. Unfortunately, today is a down, but sometimes it is good to see the reality and then go again and improve. And that's fully true, people. And what more can you say on that? And on that note, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. People, Deluded, I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking each and every time.